Alright, so guys, today we are going to run a supply side fuel hose all the way just to the injection pump from your lift pump on a 6.5 diesel. I have a aftermarket fuel filter manager set up here. I'm going to mount a fuel pressure sensor on one side, and for now I'll have the other side plugged. I'm still getting my fittings for that. But potentially you can also, it's cool on this setup because you got four ports, so you can use one for supply, one for delivery to the pump, or any combo you want, and then one for your heater element and one for your gauge. So that's what setup I'm probably going to use for right now until I get my heater. I'm going to plug it, and then I will be, before I start the car, I will be getting that set up. So as you can see, I've got 6 AN fittings on this side, and I will start by showing you this lift pump. I'm using a Kennedy diesel lift pump, and it takes, it actually comes with, if you're going to reuse your factory lines, which you definitely can, his kit comes with these guys right here. And it's a 1/2 inch NPT, nice. And your factory hardline screws in right here. Just make sure your O-ring's good. I am not going to be, I had just installed these, and that's why there's sealant on them. I'm going to be switching to a direct 6 AN adapter from Summit. There's the part number. And I've already got one side installed. I've got a big 6 AN hose, PTFE hose kit, and a bunch of things, connectors I bought in a bundle off Amazon. Alright, so I use some Permatex thread sealant, and this is going to thread directly into the lift pump. I got one side already done, and this one, here's the factory line. So now that I'm putting these fittings in, if you were gonna, I can no longer use the factory line, which is fine. I've already taken the original one in the front out entirely, which, unless you're about to cut up a lot of stuff, you kind of need to have your transmission down or in the process of coming in and out. All right. So I'm actually removing even the rear all the way to the spot right about there. I'm going to replace from that connector forward with a 6 AN line. So let me get my rinse on this one. All right. Now this lift pump did not come with a bracket, so I found a nice piece of a nice L bracket and cut holes in it, and I reused the factory lift pump hole location, the top one, for this particular lift pump bracket, and it is going to work just fine for this application. And I think that bracket actually came off of a gooseneck hitch assembly that I did not use because it came with a assortment of stuff that my model year truck didn't need that part, so I just kept it. And but really, go to Ace Hardware or whatever, or definitely a fab shop can make you one. But yeah, that's the gist of it right here. All right, one thing to note on this lift pump, it comes with a black and red wire, just with no connector, because it's kind of a universal lift pump. So you take your old connector off your original lift pump and you cut and splice the connector onto it, and therefore when the time comes you have a factory wired up connection. Now I just removed this line right here, and I did not remove from the back because I don't have a it'd be best if I could run new line all the way to the tank, but I don't have the tank out, so I can't do that right now. So I'm going to reuse part of the original line, and that means I need one factory fitting that has a 6AN on the other side and a whatever this style is, male end on this side, and a male or female 6AN on the other side. So if you have a northern truck, this is probably not coming off nicely. And to be honest, from what I've seen in the south, this frame came from North Carolina, and I've definitely seen cleaner southern trucks, so I'm not sure if this thing was driven in the sand or whatnot, but there's definitely a little bit more rust. With that said, this thing still came off pretty clean, so I'm just gonna wipe it down. The inside right there still looks pretty good. So I have a correct fitting I ordered from Summit. So this is the original hose right here, and honestly I could probably sell this. It's really not, definitely clean up and reuse it again, but this is the fitting I'm using from Summit. It is not a Summit brand, it is a Earl's brand. Right there, there's the number. You can see it's the same type. Once I push these two together, it's the same type of end, and it is going to do exactly what I need it to do, and then have a 6AN on the other side. So let me get that in there. The nice thing about this with the rubber, that is a wear item. However, I shouldn't need any sealant because of that. It doesn't appear like there was any on the original one, and I assume that's been on there for 20 plus years. Might be a hair larger than a 6AN. Oh, see that? It reduces. No, it fits perfect. Oh, and there's the rubber. I'm using 2 open-ended wrenches, or adjustable wrenches. I don't know what the actual size would be. The nice thing is, if I ever rebuild this all the way to the tank, I'll probably start a new hose straight from the pump all the way, and just run one continuous hose and have it kind of like how it factory has it marked. Or, you know, I probably just connect to the frame one continuous hose all the way back, instead of having a break of stopping point right here or trying to reuse this. I'd probably just delete it entirely and make a whole new hose. Just cleaner, less leaks. Okay, so I got the blue, like, this is gonna be kind of, definitely it's easier to run one huge line, but so I got my straight fitting from the line. I just gotta tighten this a little bit just by hand. I'll tighten it here a little bit. Gotta have one wrench on this one and then one turning this one to tighten it. You tighten the hose side to this middle one before, like, so these are already snug together with the compression fitting. That's how it's not going to leak. And then in theory, this just has to be snug, and the AN fittings aren't supposed to leak. So I ran this thing all the way through, and I got my pile of hose. I'm just going to hold it up to roughly the right spot, and then throw some electrical tape over the area, and then snip it with a very sharp wire cutter. All right, so I just got this one down, and this wire cutter tool I have, really not the best. I would definitely suggest getting a tool to cut PTFE hose cleanly. The only reason I say that is because this is how whatever tool cut it was sent for me when it came. This is how I just did it. And you gotta basically use a screwdriver and use the other end of one of these to get it back to the right shape. And I don't know, definitely spend a little bit of money, get the right tool if you're gonna, because you know you're gonna use it more than once, especially if you're doing a project like this. Hopefully I did the length just right, or maybe just a hair long. I think I was going for just a hair long. Let's see. All right, cool beans. a couple turns with a wrench, and that ought to be pretty permanent. So look at my hose length, not too bad. I'll pull it up here and use some zip ties and kind of tape it to the original line went under here, but this is a little bit too big. Plus I'd probably damage the nylon on the outside. So I might just grab a couple zip ties and, you know, make it look as nice as I can, you know. And then it comes up under the frame and the side and things. And right there. So now I gotta do the same thing, build the front. All right, as you can see, I've got the hose secured at 2 spots there, and it's gonna be tough to see right there again, and then it runs up that way to the bottom of the housing. So let's go to the top. So the bottom is 100% done. As you can see, that's what that looks like. And obviously, fitting wise, you can pick any color you want. Blue and black and silver seem to be the 2 main options. So potentially it might have been better in terms of flow, because now the way I have this set up, fuel's coming in, it's going in a little mixer, and having to do a pretty big 90 and come back this way. Might have been better if I had used another straight on this back one, and then just use that kind of real nicely shaped U90 to come up and over. Not that these are in the way, but I'm just thinking just for flow. Honestly, they might be in the way if I ever take this off. With that said, as of right now, they're not touching, so it should be okay. If you still have a factory pump, which most of us do, right there is the initial, where the original hose comes, and you are going to need this guy right here. This basically one of these. This is the factory size on one, and then the 6AN on the top. So I'm gonna have to take a socket and remove that one, and then screw this one down. Okay, so this came out when I did that, and when I was trying to replace the little guy. This is screwed into here, right? And that's what sits in your injection pump. And there's this filter screen, top and bottom. This is not supposed to come out. They were stuck together. I really couldn't get them at all, and then even once they were out, so what I did, I sprayed a little bit of WD-40 on that, and then eventually it was able to come off. So I'm gonna put this back in and snug it, and I really hope that didn't damage anything in this injection pump. I'll show you why it's worth it. If this is here and this is here, look at the difference in openings between the two. More fuel, more power, right? All right, check it out. So that's gonna be it right there. And I got plenty of space just coming from, you know, that way, just this side with a crow's foot for whenever I get the AN fitting, it's gonna run. So what I ended up doing is using the 16mm, screwing the new one in, and once it got snug enough, it started turning the bottom piece with it. And then once the bottom piece got snug, I figured, well, that's the way it came out, that's the way it's going back in. Is that the right answer by a professional? No. Is it gonna make this vehicle run? I hope so. All right, guys, I'm coming back. I took like a week break, a little over a week. Coming back to you now for this, finish up these lines. And I bought what I should have had to start out with, basically. So these are, I got these all from Racetronics in Canada. I'm here in Georgia. It took about 8 days to arrive, so just know it's not coming fast. But these are what you put in your vise, and it secures, you know, either side of sits in there snug, and you clamp it down both sides, it holds it real good. So I think between all what I just bought was around, I think after shipping it was 90. Shipping from Canada was probably 20 or something, but this is a very small box, and it's just this big. No customs fees because it was under $100. And yeah, so I got a couple more fittings, like a bunch of straights. This is the one I needed for the on the filter head, and then I think I'm going to use a 45 on the other end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this to the pump first, and since it's a little bit easier to kind of hold up the filter head off to the side, I'll cut that one second. So let's get this on first. Oh, sorry, these other tools. This is a spreader. So once I cut it, before I install the end, you know, that goes into the hose itself, right? Let's see if I get this off. Oops, don't lose that. So before this end slides in, I can use this to push it and make it perfectly round and on the first try, versus what you saw earlier in this video, I was using a screwdriver. So this should be better, and this feels pretty solid. Definitely, you change it, it comes out like a, so it's got interchangeable sizes, right? You take this and you can change sizes on the other end. I don't think this is the last time I'm going to be dealing with 6AN hoses, because I'm probably going to try to run this on everything from here on out. And I was like, all right, let me get some nice tools. And this is a 6AN wrench. I could have bought the whole set for like 100 or 85 or something, but it was 13 for one, and I was like, well, I don't see myself using anything more than 13 or 6AN anytime in the near future, so I'll just grab the one, and if it comes down to it, I'll grab the other ones in the future. But yeah, so one tool for the vise, which I guess you technically don't need, but it definitely can't makes your life easier. And then I got a bunch of straights, and that's what I was waiting for. Mainly this is what I was waiting for. These tools are just going to help it and make life easier. So let's get this hose on, and yeah. This is a hose end that I cut a little while ago with the regular clampers, and this thing slides in there. You find the end with the size you need, and then it kind of slides in and basically helps to shape it, right? Which, if you're trying to do this, and it comes out with a pretty decent circle. So that's first try. I forgot how much I paid for this, but that alone, if you do this often, is going to be worth its money and time for sure. I think I'm going to go under the AC, and there it is. We got that, and I got the 45 down to the injection pump. I ran it underneath this one, and since I haven't wired this up, I could just cut it, but I don't want to do that. Since I haven't wired that up, I might pull that back out and just run it underneath. But anyway, the fuel side, 6AN from the, I guess for functional purposes, it is from the lift pump to the injection pump. All right, it took me a little while to find this. I had to go to a mobile fitting place, and that is the number for this particular one. And this guy right here is not cheap. This was 35 bucks, this little thing. So now I get to decide. I still have my extra one. I'll save it for later, especially now that I know the price of these. But I could do front or back. You know, these ones are just plugs. I think I'm gonna put it in the back, because when I eventually get a heater, I'll probably put that one in the front right here, just because it's gonna have, the heater's probably gonna have a little bit more wiring, and I think it'll be a little bit easier to access if it's out front. So this is I don't know what thread this is, but he said put some sealant on it before you put it in, and then snug her down. And then my sensor for my gauge, fuel pressure, is gonna run right in there. So let me do that. All right, we got some on there. It is going in. All right, let me grab a wrench. And this is going to be a permanent fixture, so now the only thing, this wire is from my gauge, so I gotta put this in here to see what kind of length we need, and this is gonna run, I suppose I could probably gonna use that one right there. And there it is. My system is now sealed, and I'm ready to get this fuel coming. Spend a bit hand priming, finishing up my wires, which shouldn't take too long. It's just the two, and then under the hood is about done on this car. Thanks for watching, guys.